Hey everybody, I'm Delicia and thanks for stopping by the Cigar Vixen channel for an interesting pairing that I will be doing today. Something a little bit different. First off, I want to talk about the cigar that I'm going to be smoking for the pairing. This is the Gomez Sanchez family first generation Leyenda. This is the No.1. It's part of the Micallef cigar lineup. And I actually did a review, I don't know, 3 or 4 months back, I believe in the summertime, on the Leyenda No.2, so a different size. This is the No.1, and I have this brand new box. So I wanted to show off how beautiful the presentation is. Really something special. Aside from the beautiful pictures, it has the fields there. It has the actual patriarch to the family, which is what this blend itself is paying tribute to Mr. Pedro F. Gomez. It actually has this whole little write-up about him, and I'll read that to you. It says, first generation Grandmaster tobacco roller and grower recognized in Cuba and throughout the world since 1934, offers the market a unique cigar from his favorite created vitola, a new version handcrafted by his grandchildren with the finest leaves from different countries, aged 5 to 10 years and rested a minimum of 1 year after being rolled. A full-bodied classic cigar with unique and unmatched aroma and flavor, quality controlled and personally guaranteed by the hands of the second and third generation of Gomez Sanchez family, made for the true connoisseur of a great cigar. Enjoy it with pleasure. So very nice. I like when people add, you know, little pieces of their own history. I'm always a sucker for the family history thing. It just really, coming from a big family, it always means a lot when people take the time to pay tribute to those that came before them. And especially in this case, that actually taught them the craft. So speaking of that, I'll get right into this box here. And it is a special vitola because they created it themselves. And it comes, each one comes in this little coffin, which is cool. I think I showed you guys this on the last review, but this is again the No.1 instead of the No.2 size. So this one's actually a little bit bigger. And taking a closer look at it, it's featuring a 5-year-old Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, 5-year-old Nicaraguan binder, and a 5-year-old, well, actually a mixture of 5-year-old Nicaraguan, Dominican, and Honduran tobacco. And so again, after it's rolled, it's rested for that additional year. And then so the bottom little piece of that coffin just comes right out, and the cigar slides out. And you could even keep the coffin if you wanted. But back to the actual pairing that I mentioned, it's unique this time in the sense that it's a non-alcoholic pairing. So I'll give you a little bit of background as to why. First off, it's going to be the classic In-N-Out chocolate milkshake, but I'll get into that in a moment. So why did you pick a milkshake, Delicia? Well, having spent time in Las Vegas recently at the Big Smoke with Mr. Al Micallef, who's the man behind the Micallef brand. He's a great guy. He's really funny. He's really made a name for himself around the industry, you know, amongst the people in the industry. I think everybody knows him now. He's just a sweetheart. He's from Texas, huge heart, and just a character. I mean, he's really fun to sit and talk to if you get the opportunity to meet him at an event or just maybe in a cigar lounge in Texas. Cool guy. Well, I was asking him, because I ask this question to pretty much all the manufacturers that I meet if I get a chance to sit down and chat with them. I always ask, well, what's your favorite way to enjoy a cigar? And what's like your favorite pairing, basically? Like, what do you like to drink with your cigar? Well, Al apparently doesn't drink much alcohol. So I was expecting him to say, oh, you know, coffee or soda, maybe something like that. Well, he says, actually, I love a chocolate milkshake with a cigar. And so I kind of started laughing like, okay, I wasn't thinking that. I wasn't going to that place of thinking like, wow, a chocolate milkshake. But then the more thought I gave it, I was like, wow, that actually makes perfect sense that would make for a really delicious pairing because, you know, the chocolate and of course pulls out probably the cocos in the cigar and whatnot. But it's just kind of fun. So completely different type of a thing here that I thought I'd be fun to share with the rest of you. And of course, I'm going to give all of you an opportunity to win a 5 count of these sticks right here from the box I just showed you. And stay tuned for the last part of the video. I'll explain how you can enter to win that. So again, beautiful shape on this cigar. It's a unique vitola. Nobody has this size. And this particular one is a 52 by 5.5, which looks a little bit It looks bigger than a 5.5, but maybe, huh, that's what it says. And this is just such a good cigar. I actually smoke it fairly often. Of course, I'm getting into the newer box now, but I've already gone through a box. And it's just a really good everyday type of stick. And a lot of people that I've talked to in the industry that have had the chance to smoke it will agree. It's just exquisite. I mean, the aging that goes into the tobacco and then the additional resting that it does after it's blended really adds to keep that flavor. It has a lot of flavor, but it's married well. So it's really just a nice, smooth type of a smoke. And then of course I picked an In-N-Out shake because anybody who lives in a region that has In-N-Out, it's pretty classic, been around forever. And I know those of you who don't live in areas that have In-N-Out, if you do visit like California or even Texas now, I believe, and I forget where else they have In-N-Out, it's usually something like where people want to go visit and get a burger, get a shake. My brother-in-law is one of those people. He lives in Tennessee, and as soon as they come from the airport, it's like we have to go right to In-N-Out. So I thought it would be appropriate to do that. Sometimes I make my own shakes. Actually, fairly often I make my own shakes. But in this case, I wanted to just go with something classic. Every time, like as soon as you light up the cigar, it just hits you with this beautiful toastiness, nice kind of toasted piece of bread is kind of the nuance that you get from it. But just a delight, really nice. And we'll go ahead and get into my chocolate shake, which I'm actually really excited about because I don't get to drink or eat a lot of a lot of shakes. And so when I do, it's a privilege. Yum. Wow. That is actually interesting. It's a different type of sweetness that, again, I wouldn't have necessarily picked this like first, just thinking about it, but it's pulling some sweetness, which is nice. It's also different because normally the majority of the pairings that I do, like with wine or rum, are usually room temperature at best. Not a lot of chilled. I don't drink a lot of my stuff on the rocks, so it's usually room temperature, like pretty much always. So it's really different to have something that's cold with your cigar. I don't know, maybe some of you drink cold things with your cigars on a regular basis, but I don't. So it's kind of, it's different. Alone again, that cigar has a nice creamy kind of a sweetness to it already, but really with the creaminess and the sweetness from the chocolate shake, it's really pulling that. It's like a dessert almost. Well, I guess a shake is technically a dessert, but with the cigar, it's just a perfect kind of, I guess an evening nightcap or even a very nice long lunch treat. Really cool. It's funny because it's actually giving a nuttiness to, I don't know if it's more to the shake or to the cigar, just combined, it pulls out a little bit more of a nuttier profile, still very creamy. And of course, you get the cocoa notes in there. Really nice. I better not get used to this pairing because I could see, especially trying to shoot another calendar, the chocolate shake might work against me. So I'll have to enjoy this just once in a while. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and sit back and smoke my cigar down, drink some more of my chocolate shake, and check back in with you guys shortly to talk about any flavor shifts. So coming back in on the about halfway or so through the Leyenda No.1 and the In-N-Out chocolate milkshake pairing. The hard part is trying to balance like drinking the shake slow enough to make it last for the whole cigar. So there must be a trick maybe that I'm not aware of, because I guess for me, I probably drink my shakes faster than I would smoke a cigar. So that would be like the only hiccup, if you want to call it that I could see to this particular pairing. Perhaps maybe a shorter cigar would be the better way to go. But I will say that I also have to correct a mistake on the first third that I mentioned when I was talking about the size. I don't know, I was reading my notes on the No.2, which is significantly smaller, and this one is actually a 54 by 7.5, which when I was looking at it, and I was like, this is no way this is a 5.5. But anyways, so that's the actual size notifications on this particular No.1 versus the No.2. There's also some different taste points I recognized in the No.2. The No.2 starts out with like more of a peppery beginning than the No.1, which had more of like that just toasty bread type of flavoring to it. Also, I didn't pick up as much of the dried fruit notes that I did on the No.2 size. Could be because of the milkshake. I mean, that's really making me get a sweeter, more of a chocolate type of profile. Also, the nice thing with this size is that sweet spot that on the No.2 takes a little bit later to get to. This one gets to it right about at the midway point. The sweet spot, as I mentioned, it has like mixture of cinnamon, some butterscotch. It has a nice creaminess to it, coffee notes in there. Cocoa, you get a little bit. Of course, the chocolate is really bringing out those creamy, sweeter chocolate notes than on its own. You definitely have that influence. You can't help but have that influence when you're pushing a chocolate milkshake with it. So I could see why this would be the preferred pairing for a lot of people, probably, because it just, if you like the sweeter stuff, I mean, this really does an interesting flavor type of combination, I guess you could say. Probably also like a vanilla shake would do the same type of thing, but different, but it would give it that sweeter, you'd pull out more of those notes than just smoking it on its own. But just a good stick. I mean, I actually can't smoke enough of these. They're really tasty. The only complaint I have, if you call it that, with this particular stick is the placement of the band. I took off the first band. I just left the little secondary one on there. But the first band, it's so pretty. I mean, it has beautiful artwork, but it's too big. And so it goes up to where it's like touching your lips almost when you're puffing on it. So you have to take it off. It's an easy fix. You just pop it right off, but still, that would be like my only negative thing, I guess you could say, about this particular cigar, because everything else is great. It burns good. The aroma is incredible. The flavors are amazing. And again, paired with a chocolate shake, it's tasty. So I'm going to go ahead and smoke it down. I'm trying not to go through my entire shake before I finish the cigar. This is a lengthier stick. It's about I'm like 45 minutes or so. Again, I didn't put the timer on, but roughly this takes about an hour and a half. If you're a slower smoker, you could probably get a couple hours out of it. But for me personally, probably about an hour and 20 or so, but we'll see what I come out to when I'm at the end. Right now I'm up in about 45 minutes or so, maybe even 50 minutes. So again, drinking the shake is I probably should have opted for the smaller size. That probably would have been a better option, but it still goes well. And in fact, it's easier to drink the shake when it melts a little bit. So anyway, gonna go ahead and finish up and check back in with you guys for the final third. Well, I finished my shake and I still have a little bit left. So again, for me, I probably should have thought that through a little bit more and selected maybe the smaller size. If I would have gone with the Leyenda No.2, it probably would have been the right amount of time to really like enjoy that milkshake slowly. Can't even say that. Enjoy the milkshake slowly. Say that 5 times. It's really difficult. I promise it wasn't spiked. Anyways, that would have been a better size to probably enjoy the milkshake slowly and smoke the cigar. But again, the No.1 was still good. There's a little bit left, and to close out, you know, with the flavors, really that chocolate shake gives you just that. It gives you that little burst of chocolate, sweetness, creamy. So whatever cigar you're putting with it is going to kind of pull out those notes as well. In this case, it did give me a little bit more. It kind of, on its own, the cigar gives you, again, that sweet spot that I mentioned, the cinnamon, butterscotch, creamy, coffee, cocoa. So the shake went really well with it. But now that I finished it, you know, it's picking up there's still like on the palate, it's there, but it actually is making me taste more of like that anise and a little bit of the mint. There's a little bit of mint that's in this blend that I pick up more so on the No.2 than the No.1, but towards the end, I'm kind of getting a little bit more of that. So the mint actually is interesting with the chocolate shake. It kind of gives you that, you know, Girl Scout cookie, peppermint, chocolate mint type of essence to it, which provides a completely different experience than just smoking the cigar on its own. So a lot of fun. I mean, it's always cool to mix things up. There's tons of different pairings that you could do out there. I do a lot myself. I tend to stick to the, you know, the rums, the bourbons, wine. Red wine is a go-to for me. Like when I'm, again, not so much for the reviews, but when I'm on my own time, I tend to have a glass of red wine with, you know, different cigars that I'm smoking. But it was a nice change up to do that chocolate shake. So now my question to all of you is two-part question, actually. Have you guys ever tried a chocolate shake with your cigars? Maybe I'm the only one who hadn't to this point. I don't know. I'd like to hear back from you. Also, I want to hear, like, where's your favorite chocolate shake from? Are you like an In-N-Out shake person? Do you have a secret recipe that you make your own chocolate shakes? Is there a really cool restaurant that you only order your chocolate shakes from? Or do you kind of go to random places and try different ones out? Anyways, I'd love to hear that feedback. And those of you who would like to provide that feedback for me, because I love to hear from you, I'm actually going to send somebody some of these cigars, and as a bonus, I'm gonna throw them in this beautiful little Boveda 1-year humidor bag. I love these things. I discovered these somewhat recently, which I don't know where I've been hiding, but they're great. They're these little humidor bags, and they're actually good for about a year. So they come in different sizes. This was the small one. There's a medium, and then the large one you could fit, like, I don't know, a ton of cigars, maybe 50 or so. So they're really cool. They have a little Boveda pack in them, but they seal really nicely. And so if you're somebody who travels or just likes to slip something in your briefcase or your purse or your bag or whatever, your merce, whatever you have that you carry with you, these are really cool. So I'm gonna send you those cigars in this bag so you can enjoy both. And again, that's for those of you who leave your comments, because I like to hear from you. And to find out if you were one of the, or if you're the winner, I should say, after posting your comments, you can find out, because I will announce the winner on my year-end top 5 cigars for the year, which I release on New Year's Eve. And stay tuned for that. And make sure you check the video to see if you're the winner of the 5-pack with the cool Boveda humidor bag. And as always, I appreciate you hanging out with me, trying my quirky little mix-up here. And hats off to all of you who follow me and just who hang out. So cheers to all of you. See you next time.